Hi everyone, welcome to day 25 of our FCHS Fitness Challenge. We did a bit of a tougher workout today. We're going to do a bit of a tougher one tomorrow. So today we're going to take it a little bit easier and we're going to stretch out that lower body. So last week we did a nice upper body stretching video. Today we'll get the rest of us. All right, so I'll work from that waist down. So we're going to start with a few standing stretches, but we will eventually be on the floor. So if you want to grab like a yoga mat or something comfy to lie on later, please do that just so you have that space. Carpet is fine for me, but that might not work for you. So do whatever makes you comfortable. All right, so we are gonna get started. And we're gonna start by just putting the feet just outside of shoulder width apart. So you're kind of making a nice triangle with your legs. We'll throw in some geometry, a nice equilateral triangle here. All the lines will be pretty even. All right, so my feet tend to point out here. All right, yours might be in a slightly different position, but we're just gonna reach down towards the floor. All right, and you might not get to the floor at first, that's okay. You might already have your palms on the floor showing me up. That's more than okay. Good job. All right, but just breathe through that stretch, and with every breath, see if you can get a little bit closer to the floor. All right. And if you are able to get your palms on the floor, we're going to add a bit of movement to this. So we're going to shift forward in those feet so the weight will be in our toes and the hands, but the heel should still be on the ground. The foot is going to stay flat on the ground. We're just dispersing the weight differently. So that weight will go forward, and then we're going to go back and kind of put it in the backs of the feet and in those heels. You should feel that stretch kind of changing as you go, right, as you go back and forth. If the heels come up at all, or the toes, you've gone too far. So stay, make sure whatever range you're going in, your feet and hands are still flat. So it might not be a big movement, that's okay. All right. But this can help deepen the stretch. It can help us with some of that foot mobility, some of that low back mobility. All right. And just do one more forward and back if you've taken that option. And bring that weight back to the middle. And then we're gonna come, not all the way up, we're just gonna walk the hands towards the right side. And we'll get a bit of a deeper stretch in that leg. Remember to breathe. It does really help. It's like a natural reflex, I guess, to hold the breath if we're in an uncomfortable position, but it actually helps us relax and lengthen that muscle a little more if we keep that breath coming in and out. All right, walk those hands over to the left side now. This is when I always feel my low back kind of kicking in too, because that right side is always tighter than my left. So I'm getting a nice stretch here in this left hamstring, but also right here by that SI joint. So that's why I like this kind of stretch. All right, we're gonna walk those hands back to the middle. Come up nice and slow here. All that blood is in the head right now. We were down for a little while, so come up nice and slow. All right. Put those feet back together. We're gonna do a quad stretch next. So if you have trouble with your balance, I highly suggest using a chair because we wanna focus on the stretch today, not so much testing our balance, all right? So I have my chair right here, and I'm gonna bring my heel up. I'm just gonna hold it and let that front of the leg, that hip, stretch out real nice, okay? And I'm gonna put that foot down. I'm gonna grab the other foot, bring that heel up. put that one down too. I'm gonna push my chair back in so I don't fall on it later. Our next one we're gonna do a standing stretch for our T-band. So that's that nice side of our leg, all right, that can get a little achy sometimes if we walk or run too much. So we're gonna bring the left foot over the right. We're gonna take that left hand up overhead, and that hip will kind of not necessarily jut out, but we're gonna stretch this whole side, and you might feel most of that stretch right around in here. Depending how tight you are, it might go further down towards your knee. Okay. Stretch out some of that tissue there. I like this stretch after I've been sitting for a while. Feels really good. All right, we're gonna come up. We're gonna do the same thing, cross the right foot over the left. Bring that right hand up and over. Nice side bend. You might need your chair for this one too if you find yourself swaying a bit. There's a bit of a balance component because our legs are crossed. All right, let's bring both those feet back next to each other, nice and close. And let's just reach down towards our toes. And let's see, I'm more flexible than I usually am this time of the morning. See if you can get your hands down there or maybe a little further than you're used to being able to. Get a nice hamstring stretch there. A lot of times with low back pain, and one of the causes can actually be our tight hamstrings and our tight glute muscles. So it's really important to do that lower body stretching if you think that might be a cause of the pain. And a lot of us who do sit all day, that tends to be one of the contributing factors. All right, so we're gonna come up again, nice and slow. Let that blood go back down to the heart where it wants to be. And then we're just gonna drop down to the floor here. We're gonna place those feet together and we're gonna do a butterfly stretch. And that'll stretch that inner thigh region. Get a little bit of those hips involved too, okay? And you can press down on the legs if you want a slightly deeper stretch. Just do it gently, okay? We can also add a little bit of mobility to this one too by flapping the legs like our wings, or flapping our butterfly wings. And sometimes when we do this, when we make those muscles work a little bit, we can go back into that stretch and maybe get a little bit deeper. So I look like I'm a little bit deeper on the left side, but that right side is pretty stuck. Right, and that's normal. One side is usually looser or stronger than the other side, and that's okay. But that's why flexibility and mobility training are very important, because we don't want to be imbalanced like that. Because at some point, I would hurt this leg overcompensating for this one, right? Because if the range of motion is inhibited in this one's getting all the work. So I always have people keep that in mind. All right, let's bring those legs straight out. Well, just one. We're gonna bring the left leg straight out. We can leave the right foot here like this and hug it in. We can cross it over the leg and hug it in. Okay, whichever feels better for you. You're gonna get a stretch right in here. Okay, so if you are very tight there, it might be painful to cross the leg over. You can still stretch that area a little bit more gently by just keeping your foot right here in line with that knee. Okay. If you want to add a little bit more, you can add a rotational component in that upper body, so the hand will come back behind you. And I usually have my elbow line up with my knee here to just push it a little bit further. And I'm looking towards the right side. And just breathe through this one. Okay, and we'll come back to the middle. Straighten out that right leg. See if it's longer than your left leg, right? This is why we do both sides. My right leg is longer. So we're gonna fix that. I'm gonna bring the left leg up. That feels pretty good today. I'm gonna cross it over and hug that knee in. All right. And as I adjust to that, I think I need another breath or two. Hold on. When you feel ready, you can bring that left hand back and have that right elbow push that left knee a little bit more to get a deeper stretch. Might get a nice stretch in that upper back shoulder as well. Right, and look towards that left side. And we'll let that leg go. All right, our next one, we're gonna put the left foot flat on the ground, and we're gonna bring this right foot up and cross the heel over the ankle over the knee. I guess heel works too, but I was gonna say the heel over the ankle, which would not have made any sense at all. Right, so ankle against that knee, we're doing our figure 4 stretch. You can also do this lying back on the ground and grabbing behind the leg and straightening the leg up. I am usually not that flexible. So I like to do mine from the seated position where I have a little more control over moving that heel where it feels good for me. All right, so the closer the foot is into you if you're taking the seated option, the deeper the stretch. But if the shoulders start to come up like mine are, all right, that's a little too far. Move that foot back or forward. Move that foot forward. All right, and we can add some ability into this too. We can just bring the legs from side to side here. See if you can get them to touch the ground. All right. Working on a little bit of that hip rotation. Okay, let's do one more on this side. And let's bring that right foot down on the floor. We're gonna cross the left ankle over the knee and we're gonna stretch that one now. All right. And we can add in some of that rotation, if that feels good. Okay, we'll bring both feet down to the floor. If you're using a yoga mat, your feet will be on the edges of that mat. If you're not on a mat or a blanket, I usually just go about shoulder width, maybe a little bit wider, okay? We're gonna drop both knees to the left side. And again, your legs might touch the floor. Mine do not. All right, that's okay. We wanna try to keep, we don't wanna be lifted off the ground to get that leg down, okay? So we wanna keep both butt cheeks on the ground and just see where that range of motion is. All right. And then just turn those knees the other way. All right, see how that side is? I'm actually surprised this side looks a little worse today. Whew. And then we'll just do that rotation, these windshield wipers a few more times, okay? And see if your range gets any deeper, right? Maybe you're already there. Maybe you're laughing at me. That's okay. Flexibility and balance are not my fortes. We all have our thing, right? All right. Let's just do one more to each side here. Okay. And then we're gonna come on our hands and knees in our nice tabletop position. Okay, so hands right underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And we're gonna lengthen one leg out to the side here and get another deep inner thigh stretch. Your foot might be able to be flat on the ground, maybe not, that's okay. Just see where it lands, okay? And if you want, we can add a little bit of that rocking component to this one too. Nice and slow. And get a nice stretch from that hip right to the knee. I always feel this in the entire adductor muscle when I start adding some movement in. Okay. And let's come back to the middle here. And we'll do the same thing for the other leg. So we'll bring that left foot out. See where that, see where that foot wants to land. I guess I am not gonna do it on this side. Right? And then you can add that front and back if that feels good. That does not feel good on this side, but feel free to do it if you would like. I'm just gonna stay right like this. Try to work out whatever weird knot that is. There we go. Right, sometimes we just have to sit with a stretch for a little bit before we add a harder component or some mobility into it. All right. Do one more if you're taking the rocking option. Come back to the middle. Put both of those feet back in that tabletop position. All right. We're gonna do one more stretch for each side here. We're gonna bring the right foot right outside the right pinky, all right, if we can. And we're gonna hold this. You can lean forward into this leg to get a nice stretch throughout this hip. And then if you want to add a little bit of ankle mobility, you can flip the foot to the right and back and just kind of open up. Not only will that open up the ankle, but it's also going to move that hip in and out, right? So all of our joints are connected in some way. A lot of times if we have knee pain, it's really a problem with those ankle muscles or those hip muscles. And mobility can kind of help us strengthen a lot of these areas with just one basic motion, right? We're getting our hip, our knee, and our ankle all by moving our foot left and right. Isn't that amazing? All right. Now bring that right foot back into the tabletop position. And we're gonna do the same thing with the left side. Bring that left foot right by the pinky, adjust if you need to, okay? You can lean forward a bit into that left leg, really stretch that right hip. And if you're feeling good, you can add a bit of that foot mobility here too. Open that hip a little bit wider. Get that ankle involved, that knee involved. My arms are getting tired. Alright. Do one more. Bring both knees back. And get yourself in a nice comfortable position here. You gotta shake out those hands after that one. Ooh, my elbows hurt. All right, so those are all of our lower body stretches for today. All right, we did not do our calf muscles, but feel free to add in a standing calf stretch after this video if you feel like that's an area you need to work on. Focus mostly on that hip and lower back sort of contributing musculature. All right, figured that would be good for you guys on a Wednesday where we've been possibly sitting for most of the week at work. All right, so that's our video for today. I will see you all tomorrow. We'll get back into some putting it all together kind of stuff with our strength, our cardio, and our balance. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.